long time ago in a little town called Searsport, Maine, on Mount Ephraim Road, there was a cottage style, Cape style home, I should say, that was in the valley at 22 Mount Ephraim Road. And behind 22 Mount Ephraim Road was a small hill. And over that small hill was a small pond referred to by the locals as the Mill Pond. The family that lived in that house, 22 Mount Ephraim Road, were Gardiner, Jasmine, Evan, Jared, and Ephraim, and their mom and dad. And Gardiner, Jasmine, Evan, Jared, and Ephraim used to like to go out and play. They'd play in the yard, they'd play across the stream, they'd go over the hill. And once they got to the top of the hill, it was kind of a magical place. They could imagine that hillside when the grass was tall, like an African savanna. And when it wasn't the savanna in Africa, it was something else. Well, when they got down toward the pond, they had a small raft. And the raft they would take. And they would pole using long poles and push into the mud and go out onto the pond and over into the cove. And they'd climb up a hill. The hill was kind of steep. So Pudgerello, Fonzarello, Rigatoni, Macaroni, Spaghetti would often use his tail, and the kids would all hold on, and he'd pull them all up the hill. Well, one day they had crossed the pond, and they smelled a little bit of smoke. So they weren't too sure if they should go into the woods. But they did. They climbed the hill quietly, slowly. And as they got close to the top of the hill, they could hear which was kind of a strange thing to hear. So the children were very, very cautious, very, very slowly. They poked their heads up over the bank. Boom, 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 boom. The little boom was Ephraim because he was little. And they looked and they saw a guy dancing with a spear around the fire. He'd built a fire and he was dancing. That's what they had smelled, that smoke. And as they watched, they could hear him sing, ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, bing, bang, walla, walla, bing, bang, ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, bing, bang, walla, walla, bing, bang. And as his face turned toward them, he was wearing an African tribal mask or some kind of witch doctor type of thing that covered him almost from his belly button to way above his head. It was kind of silly looking to the kids. They'd never seen one like that before. Covered half of his body. And he was dancing wearing a grass skirt, holding a spear. He was dancing and singing, ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, bing, bang, walla, walla, bing, bang, ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, bing, bang, walla, walla, bing, bang. And he would dance faster and faster. And it was kind of a crazy thing for them to watch. And the kids, they started to giggle. And the guy stopped. And he looked around. He was looking for where those little giggling voices came from. Was it chipmunks laughing at him? He looked up in the trees. No, it wasn't chipmunks. Was it squirrels? No, it wasn't squirrels. And then he started to do his dance one more time, thinking maybe he was invoking some weird forest spirits. Ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah. He looked around. Ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah. Bing, bang, walla, walla, bing, bang. Ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, bing, bang, walla, walla, bing, bang. And he heard the laughter again. This time he saw it was the kids. So he started to run toward the kids. The kids turned to run down the hill, and they ran, and Pudgerello, Fonzarello, Rigatelli, Macaroni scooped up Ephraim and carried him down to the raft, and they all got on the raft, and they started to pull really quickly across, and they saw the guy. He was getting ready to throw his spear. Pudgerello, Fonzarello, Rigatelli, Macaroni threw his tail in the water, and again, just like outrunning those pirates, he outran the spear. It stuck in the mud. But the raft kept going. All the way over to the other bank. Boom! It landed. And they ran up the hill across the hill, down the other side, through the kitchen door. Bang! Slammed that door, ran across the kitchen, through the living room, up the stairs, under the bed. Where they hid from the pirates before, they hid from the witch doctor again. It worked. They didn't hear the witch doctor. They waited, and they waited, and they waited some more. Finally, Pudgerello, Fonzarello, Rigatoni, Macaroni, Spaghetti went woof, which was, let's go down and look. So they all went down into the kitchen. They looked at the back door. No one standing at the back door. They looked through the back door window. No one standing on the porch. They opened the door. Boom, 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 boom. Stuck their heads outside. No witch doctor. So they climbed the hill. Boom, 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 boom. The last little bump was Ephraim because he was the smallest. They looked down the other side of the hill. The raft was still where it was. The poles were still where they had been. And they looked over on the far shore. Over on the cove, there was no witch doctor. Whew. What an adventure that was.